Hey there everyone! Welcome back to another exciting video for the Shibarium community and its partners. I'm Cezanne Shib, and my mission is to spread knowledge and positivity within the Shibarium ecosystem. This video is the 14th of all X-Space Weekly DAO Update series. This X-Space was held April 25th, 2024.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another KNINE Finance X Spaces. You are here with me in the KNINE Finance account for a weekly DAO update spaces, according to the title up top, number 14. Hello, thank you for joining. You're here very early, either having followed the reminder link and getting here that way, we appreciate that, or listening to the recording, which we also appreciate. Either way, very important that you made it here. Now, what can we do now that we're here? There's a few things. You could, if you're here to speak, you could raise your hand to speak. I've got some people that I know are coming in today to get their speaker spots. You could comment in the bottom right. We're going to try and get those comments up as we go through the spaces. So little purple button in the bottom down there. Let us know what you're doing today. Let us know something about KNINE Finance. Give us questions, comments, along with the spaces. That's your place to participate down there. If for some reason you can't be a speaker or can't get a speaker spot, that's where you're going to go. There's a share button. Share button to put the spaces on your timeline. Share button to send a DM to a dear friend who cares about the spaces. You could let them know directly that we were here today. You can use that share button. That would be great. And then last is your emoji option. Still free. You can emoji along. Let us know what you're thinking of the spaces. It at least gives us an idea that the audience can still hear us, which is always appreciated. In the meantime, we're going to kill a little bit of time while our speakers get up here. We're going to check microphones. We're going to get posts pinned by everybody who might have things that they're going to want to talk about in a little bit. But in the meantime, I would say hello to you. Remember, my name is Pulse Digital. I'm actually just a dude. I'm not the KNINE Finance creator. I always remind you guys. I'm just a DAO member like you guys. I'm here to host the update today. So we're going to go around and speak to some people today about things that have gone on in the forums, some updates in the forums, some updates on DAO proposals. We're going to be talking to the team from Apebond today about the liquidity proposal and get a more in-depth explanation about that. That's why we picked the title this week. So let's go around and check microphones and see who's here to start with. Turtle, as your microphone works, sir, how are you?
Yes, sir. Doing well. How are you?
Doing well, man. Thank you. Sounds loud and clear. Shima, microphone check. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing well. How do I sound?
Sounds clear to me, man. Thank you for joining us today. Appreciate it. Boba, is your microphone working over there?
I think so. Let me know.
Yeah, loud and clear. 5x5 sounds good. And then let me
Awesome.
get Crimson is requested. I can get her approved up here. I know she was excited to speak this week, so once she gets up here, we'll check the microphone, make sure everything's good before we tear into some news this week. Crimson Creator, microphone check. Are you there? Yeah, it's good to hear your voice. How are you? I am well, thank you. I got one more request bump up here. It looks like that's pretty much everybody I knew was going to make it today. We are not going to have a Buzz's Corner today. Buzz is out today in terms of Buzz's Corner. I was told he's not somewhere where he's going to be able to speak at all. And I know I'm not expecting to hear from Mr. Lightspeed today either. He is out with some other stuff going on today. So those two I know are not going to be in today. So it looks like my whole speaker panel is here. Funk, is your microphone working? How are you?
Hey, I'm doing pretty well. Just got off a 2-hour space just from like 1 to like 1:45 or so a second ago. So I'm in AMA mode. I'm ready to go, ready to talk about KNINE Finance, super bullish on it. And man, there's just too many good things to say. So I'm looking forward to getting into this.
Cool, man. Get yourself a glass of water and stretch those hip flexors. You got to stay limber between spaces. It's important. You know, you got to treat it seriously. The throat is a weapon, right? Get your water. For everybody that's up here, the first thing I just want to get into is just general things that you've been thinking about throughout the week. So you don't have to jump right into your hard topics or anything like that. But Turtle, how's your week been since last time we saw you? What's been good?
Everything's been great. Thank you. It's been a lot of activation work since the budget proposals have passed, and everything's kind of freed up for the management council to increase development capacity and speed, which we've been doing. Dev is doing great. You can talk more about that later, and starting to activate some of the marketing stuff. So it's been really good. Good DAO activity, seeing some good marketing activity. Can't ask for anything else.
Crimson, I know, has been excited to get here because she's actually been unable to speak in the last 2 weeks. Are you excited to be here? I know, right?
Yes, so excited.
You got community updates. You've been working with the mods and stuff like that. So for those of you that might not have been in here with Crimson before, she's the community lead in the Telegram and stuff. So you might have probably dealt with her before if you've been in there. Funk has been really busy this week, like you said, not just in the AMAs before this, but like all over the place, man. Can you tell me a little bit about like what you've been up to this week?
Yeah, man, I'd absolutely love to, but it's going to be long-winded. So are you guys ready for it?
Is there anything else that I could expect from you, buddy?
Yes, not long-winded. Hopefully. No, so I've, for those who aren't aware, I've joined the KNINE finance team as an official member, with particularly my area of expertise just being in all things, ground level, grassroots, cryptocurrency, DeFi, AMA hosting, marketing, helping run the socials, help make the directives, how to increase the valuation of the token. I'll be honest with you. I think about that a lot. I think about ways that we can make people want to hold their tokens, ways that we can make people want to buy more and things like that. So I've been kind of doing all that, doing tons of partnership meetings with all the different partners, basically that the meetings happening upstairs, as they like to say. And there's been a ton of them. And man, this team is incredibly industrious, incredibly effective, efficient, and just experienced. The names behind this are pretty impressive. And so what I've been doing is making a lot of posts, really organizing the raids of the X posts, making sure that the content gets created, it gets posted out on X and goes through the right channels. I just want to give a big thank you to the community, everyone who's been reposting these. We've had really great engagement on everything. And frankly put, my goal is to grow the holder count. My goal is to grow the social media accounts, to expand social media accounts. I'm already thinking about Facebook. I'm already thinking about YouTube, although they might be a little bit down the line. And just really making KNINE Finance, even though it's a subsidiary in some ways of Shiba Inu, it's a partnership with Shiba Inu. It's official, I shouldn't say subsidiary, but a partner with Shiba Inu and kind of like an official Shiba Inu ecosystem type of event. That's not enough, I think, you can't just rest on those laurels. We have to make KNINE Finance a force in and of itself, one that is going to drive forward the value of Shibarium, which is going to in turn drive forward the value of KNINE Finance. One thing I think that a lot of people miss is how valuable this is actually going to be to #Bone, to Shibarium, and how as Shibarium becomes more and more valuable with huge things that we posted out recently about the Treat token raising 12 million, that they haven't really released official word on how that's all going to work, but I have some insider knowledge, and it is going to be really amazing and push Shibarium forward. And with that push towards Shibarium, it's going to make the only official validator, liquid staking derivative, KNINE Finance, all that much more powerful within the ecosystem. Bone is sitting at anywhere from 100 to 200 million market cap, depending on the week. It seems it's rapidly fluctuating, but for layer 2 blockchains and for as big as Shiba Inu is as an ecosystem, it's highly undervalued. And when that rockets up, I know that's going to help take KNINE Finance with it. So, man, I've just been going through the onboarding processes, learning everything that there is to know about KNINE so that I can speak to it at a high level and figure out the best ways to push KNINE Finance forward. I put forward a proposal in the DAO to try out that process. That was one of my initiatives was to figure out how to make KNINE token deflationary. Now, obviously, we know with the USD, the US dollar value, one of the worst things about it is they just print and print and print, and the money goes up. It's inflationary. And the great thing about cryptocurrency and DeFi, we've got all these mechanisms to make it deflationary. These were the catalysts that got people excited about Shiba Inu, rather. Could Shiba Inu reach $1? Not without burns, right? And so that's what they say. And I really am passionate about bringing burn into the KNINE ecosystem. And so we might have something coming up for you on that. Now, my proposal was met, just because the timing of it, I think in particular, was met with a lot of dissent, which I totally respect. And, you know, at the end of the day, people didn't want to raise the sell tax after they lowered it. But that kind of shows the value and power of you, the DAO token holders, that you do have influence over this, that a team member can't come in and just unilaterally make a decision that isn't a decision that's vetted and supported by the K9 Finance holders. So, but regardless, I am still committed to making this token deflationary in the long term, and if not now, maybe in the future, because I think that can bring supply shock. I think it's great advertising. I think that it makes people who might otherwise feel like they have a small percentage of the total supply start to see that percentage of the total supply that they have grow. So that's one thing I've been pushing. We've got just a little hint, we're going to release it today, but we got some whale perks coming. And we're going to change the number of tokens you need to get into that whale group. And we're going to be adding a lot of value to what it means to be a whale and start to grow that community, because those big holders are going to be integral in not only holding the price, but also networking and bringing new value to the K9 ecosystem in so many different ways. Been working a lot with Crimson, content creator over here. Congrats on your partnership with Shield, by the way. And she's been absolutely fantastic. I've been highly impressed by her moderator team, the way that they're handling both international and chats. And you can even see, I mean, Frank posted the metrics for the Telegram, who's posting the most, and her moderator crew are the most engaged people, some of the most engaged people in there. So yeah, I can't say enough good things about this ecosystem. Obviously, I don't want to ramble on too long about every little intricacy of what I'm doing, but I'm getting in here, finding places that I can help K9 personally and making it happen. And I think you guys as investors can do a lot of the same things. Tell your friends about it, you know, help us get new holders. My goal is to get us new holders and more followers. So that's what I'm doing. And anything you guys can do to help as investors would be greatly appreciated.
So the one thing I would jump on from that is, because if I have to put myself in the shoes of the average holder who's listening, or the person who's listening back in the Telegram, as you mentioned that you were very, very concerned with token price and that you had been working on things to take care of that or assuage people's concerns, that you would ask questions about what would it take to convince people who are coming up on the unlock date to hold their tokens. Can you go more into depth about what it is you think would be, from your perspective, what's required to provide support for this token price? Like, do you have like a thought on marketing or marketing budget, or is it a particular app that you're focused on? How are you going to do that?
Well, I wouldn't say I'm overly concerned about it. I'm just making initiatives to increase buy pressure and to decrease sell pressure. But yeah, my overall strategies are provide incentives to people for holding in some capacity, and get new holders to increase the buy pressure and increase incentives for buy pressure. So I'm not going to reveal everything that we have planned behind the scenes. We have a ton. We have a lot planned, particularly for the month of May. You know, we have a pretty strong marketing campaign coming, and I'm not going to mention all the parts, because obviously we want to curate every single initiative and make sure it's done to the nines and it's approved ultimately by Buzz, who, you know, is the CEO of this, well, he's the lead of this organization. And, you know, before...
I'll stop you dead. Normally I would not interrupt. That's definitely not the case. He wouldn't even go on with that. Turtle, you want to jump on that?
Yeah, no, Buzz is the founder and there are co-founders of the DAO. And I think when we're all just explaining roles and responsibilities, Buzz has been kind of the leading founder of the DAO. But at this point, the DAO doesn't have any sort of executives or executive board or anything like that. I think what Funk was getting at, though, is just that Buzz has been very reliable in steering us in the right directions. So typically the management council looks for feedback from everybody before we move forward on anything.
Yeah, and I apologize if I obviously misspoke. I'm still learning the terminology. I come from a company that uses executive titles. Of course, there are no executives, and the DAO holders are the owners of K9 Finance. So just to clarify that.
Sure.
Yeah,
I know.
That's a good clarification. And I just wanted to kind of dovetail into what you guys were talking about. You know, there's a unlock coming. Everyone's thinking about it. As Funk said, we're planning We're aware, and I wouldn't consider the team worried. We're just focused on doing what our jobs are, and for now, with the marketing budget freed up, you can anticipate that the DAO is taking action specifically around major dates, major events, things like that. We don't want to leak too much of that information now, but I think Funk did a good job speaking to it.
Can we expect any kind of teasers or any kind of information at any point?
I think
I will.
I think next week we'll have a bit more information, but Funk, please go ahead.
I think I can release some teasers. I mean, I did say that we were making some whale initiatives. We should have that coming out today. So kind of obviously internally we'll tell you guys that there's some perks for whales that we're trying to create. We've been working with international marketing. We had that Turkish tweet come out yesterday, but that's just really a tiny tip of the iceberg for what we have coming on that front. Those are just some of the alpha, some of the teasers. But there's a lot more than that, obviously, that's going to come that I can't reveal.
Okay, cool. Turtle, he mentioned that he had put a proposal into the forum for debate and that it had some contentious stuff. What's things like been in the forum since last week?
Yeah. The proposal that Funk put forth was a burn-related proposal around the unlock date. And I think the spirit of it was great. And I want to take 1 second just to comment on how valuable Funk has been as a new team member. I think, as everyone can tell, his excitement and his knowledge, are deep, and he's been on fire. So it's a really big win for KNINE to have Funk supporting us full time. And I just really appreciate him, being here and jumping in the deep end. You know how it can be with how busy and how fast everything moves here. With that, the burn proposal was received in good spirit, but overall the community decided it looks like we shouldn't increase taxes after decreasing taxes in such short order. And so, as Funk said, it's a DAO, right? So not every proposal is going to make it through just because an existing or new team member put it up there. But in the forum overall, activity has been really high, I would say, for what industry standards are for governance type activity. And over the last week, we've had a few new proposals come in just from the community. One of them is a guerrilla marketing effort. I think it's related to stickers and swag. Another one is from Treasury Proposal, which I'd like to have Shima speak to that Treasury Proposal here in a minute when we transition into that. And we also have a liquidity proposal in from Apebond, who's also on this call and going to speak to that proposal. And they've reviewed the forum and prepared some thoughts on what everyone's been asking. But generally speaking, the DAO is functioning really well. The forum is fluid. Community members and management council members are putting proposals in, and our next roundtable meeting to actually vote in new changes is going to be either May 10th or May 13th, just so people have a rough idea of when these things could actually have action taken. So yeah, hopefully that's a good quick summary of what's been going on in the forum. And if you'd like, Shane, we could just transition now into letting Shima describe the Treasury proposal. I think this one's really important. Shima put a lot of thought into it. I'm the one who actually posted it, but a lot of it has been reviewed by the whole team. So, with that said, maybe we bring Shima up and let him dive into this Treasury proposal and then let people ask any questions if they have them.
Sure, sounds good to me. You're ready, Shima.
Great, thanks, guys. So for anyone who's unfamiliar with me, I'm sort of the resident degen in DeFi, as well as sort of lead developer or advisory for development team. So I'd also like to just say, kind of exciting over the past week, our development team has absolutely been crushing it, just knocking things off the checklist and handling really, or coping really well with our slight changes in scope and the scope creep that inevitably comes up. So really, really excited what's going on in the background on the development side of things. But yeah, I'm here today to talk about the first round of investment for our treasury. So, I mean, we're all here because of crypto and DeFi, and we're building a DeFi platform. So it kind of feels stupid to have any kind of large reserve in our treasury that isn't earning yield. So over time, I'd like this to kind of be the start of the development of our DAO's investment philosophy. So it's going to be an ongoing discussion about how we want to be investing assets that align with our brand. So, we want to be supporting other liquid staking protocols, as well as how we can develop different risk profiles if we want to start having different tranches for our treasury. We can be, aggressively investing 10%, possibly seed investments into other Shibarium projects. There's a lot of opportunity in the future to utilize this treasury to support or have financial growth, but also intangible growth with fostering partnerships and growing Shibarium ecosystems. So this is kind of like the first start that I really want to turn into a long-term discussion about how we can grow more value for K9 holders by growing that treasury. Kind of for our first round though, we're going to keep things super simple. We're going to keep the treasury basically half stable coins and half Ethereum. We're going to do a little diversification across assets, put about a third of our ETH into Lido, a third into Rocket Pool, and a third into Frax. And we'll be earning around 3 to 4% APR with those liquid staking protocols. And that'll give us, exposure to the crypto market overall. And then we will put around 300K into stable coins. We'll split that across USDT, USDC, and DAI. And this way, we're hedged no matter what the markets do. It feels like a bull market, but I'm a little bit of a pessimist and I always like to be cautious. So especially when, this isn't my money, I'm a total degen, but, I want to grow value for everyone in this community long term. So the plan is to keep everything on Ethereum for now. The best yields are on L2 right now, but let's keep things simple for the first round of investment. So we'll put our USDT and USDC into Aave, where we can earn around 9% APR. So, we're beating any bond markets or traditional money market funds, beating inflation. So, and we have the ability to instantly withdraw any cash that we need for operations. So it seems like a low gas, low risk, good way to get some yield on our stable coins. We will also put a DAI into savings DAI. So you might not be familiar with DAI from MakerDAO, the decentralized US dollar peg stablecoin. So MakerDAO has put a lot of their reserve into real world assets, taking out or providing loans through protocols like Centrifuge. They're doing some really cool and innovative stuff. So you can actually earn around 13% APR if you deposit your DAI into their savings account. And that's just the yield they're earning off of T-bills and other investments. So that one's a little riskier. However, I think it's still a relatively safe strategy, and it really shows our commitment to decentralized finance and improving the future of DeFi and blockchain technology. And then, like I said, we're going to split our Ethereum across 3 of the top liquid staking protocols, and then we'll earn 3 to 4% there. So, not crazy yields, but it's silly to not be utilizing this to start making money now. And we can start discussing other opportunities for higher yield generation, providing LP and more complex strategies as time goes on. All right, would love to hear any questions from anyone.
Yeah, that was great, Shima. Just a few highlights of kind of what I'm hearing. We want to kind of put our money where our mouth is. So that's why the ETH is going into liquid staking protocols. Is that right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. We are a liquid staking protocol, so it's silly for us to have unproductive ETH sitting around.
Yeah, and another key point you mentioned is that none of the treasury budget, none of the managed treasury funds would be in any sort of lockup or any sort of kind of unaccessible format, right? Everything would be low risk, easy to transact, easy to cash out, that type of thing.
Yes. So I would like to eventually move some things into things like Pendle, where we can have predictable fixed yield, but that would be tied to future dates. So, this is kind of our first round to make sure we can start earning yield and not wasting or leaving money on the table right away. And we can discuss more complicated strategies and what would be reasonable lockup periods and what portions of the Treasury in later proposals.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And kind of another point to make is we also have Bone and Shiba or Shib and a few other tokens in the Treasury. And I think there'll be a future Treasury proposal on what to do with those. And we may, try to deploy those assets directly into Shibarium, support partner projects and stuff like that. So kind of just a teaser for the future. But Shima, I thought that was a great synopsis of the Treasury. I'll vote yes.
Awesome.
So you got my vote.
Yeah, and everyone get out on the forums and just post your thoughts about what we should be doing in the future with the Treasury too.
The only question that came up for me is, are you talking about the full Treasury being used for that, or is it a portion? I didn't get the numbers.
So it would be about 90 to 95% of the Treasury assets would be in yield earning protocols, but I think I'm maybe glossed over it. All of these are things that you can exit in one transaction. So nothing's locked up. We can instantly convert any of this back to ETH. They all have strong histories of not depegging. If anyone was following the Renzo Easy ETH depeg a few days ago, that was kind of crazy. I would have loved to have snapped up some cheap staked ETH, but we're kind of avoiding anything where we could be put into weird instability scenarios like that. So yeah, we're putting up the majority of our Treasury assets into these protocols, but it's all highly liquid and very safe, like battle-tested protocols.
Cool. Well, thanks for the clarification. Everybody, that's on the forum. If you're looking to comment on that, he put a link to it in the comment section in the bottom right side of your spaces. He posted a link directly to it if you want to go take a look at that for yourselves. Also in the forums is the proposal that Apebond has placed in there. Go ahead, Turtle.
Oh, I just bumped my phone. You know how that goes. No, I please continue. I was hoping to get Apebond up here next to speak to their proposal. So take it away, Shane.
Sure. I think Boba's up here already, right, Boba?
I'm here.
Yeah, so Boba is here from Apebond and can do an explanation of what that one's going to be about. So there's multiple reasons that as we're doing the spaces, you should be in the forum right now reading along. So if you're ready, Boba, do you want to jump into what your proposal is in the forum for everybody?
100%. Lovely to be with you guys today. I guess, it's been a while coming, but I'm glad we got the proposal up, and, we already saw incredible feedback from the community. So yeah, just keep on posting your thoughts, and we'd love to interact with you guys as well there. But in essence, I can maybe explain a bit, just in a general, feedback as to what a bond is. It is a kind of newer concept within, DeFi. But, what we focus on and what makes us different is that we focus on protocol-owned liquidity. So in essence, you can use an allocation set aside for liquidity of your token and put it up to be bonded. And what you would receive in return is liquidity that can go towards the liquidity pool. And that's what we specialize in. I guess the easiest way to compare it is, back in the day, people used to run yield farms or farming with DEXs. And in essence, that's like renting a house. So you're paying, with your token for those people to provide liquidity for your token. But then once you stop paying rent, right, people leave, they take the rewards, they take the LPs, and they often at times, cause terrible effects on the liquidity pool because all of a sudden, all that liquidity is migrated. Now with bonds, we kind of flip that script where the LPs provided by users is actually bonded in your case, it'll be bonded to the KNINE Finance DAO, and the DAO will become the owners of that liquidity. So users still get a reward, right? We want to keep them happy because they form part of this process, but they can't leave with the liquidity because they actually transferred ownership, and in that way they're supporting and underpinning the KNINE token. So that is kind of what we're proposing in this proposal. But yeah, let me know if anything stood out there.
Turtle, you want to jump in?
Yeah, I think it's important just to make it as simple as possible to understand to then work backwards from. So, it sounds like it's essentially bootstrapping liquidity for the token with, a community. And it's kind of like farming would be, except the users who provide that liquidity are locked in on a bond to keep the liquidity in the protocol. Is that correct?
1000%. And then, what the user gets at the end of the day is they get to become a part of the KNINE team or DAO, right? Because what they get is they get tokens. And what we aim to do as Apebond is we want to create as many new token holders as possible, right? So for people providing this liquidity to the DAO, they get tokens, and that's KNINE tokens. But keep in mind, those are tokens that was set aside for liquidity and incentivizing liquidity.
Yeah, that makes sense. And for how long would the liquidity bond be in effect? For how long would the liquidity kind of be stuck in place? Or how does it, maybe a different way to tackle that question is, there's a few things that the DAO could do, right? The DAO could decide to take $200,000 worth of KNINE and $200,000 worth of ETH and could add it to the current Uniswap pool. However, there's downsides to that approach, like reducing what's available in the Treasury and locking it up in liquidity. So maybe you could just speak to, if you're in the shoes of the DAO and you're considering ways to increase liquidity, maybe you could kind of do a compare and contrast to what the different options might be. I think that'll help people better navigate their opinion. And then also, if you could just provide some like newbie level information on what is the impact of adding liquidity and like how do you think it would impact KNINE token price chart volatility, et cetera. Not necessarily price prediction, but I think you get my point.
Yeah, that's exceptional. Yeah, that's exactly the type of questions, as a DAO you should be asking yourself. So since to speak to the first question, there is a lot of protocols out there that take the 200K, say from the ETH reserves about, and that you guys want to put in these yield generating strategies because you want to build that and fend off the inflation that we see yearly, right? So in one, you kind of limiting yourself to the opportunities that you have that Shima was speaking about, right? Shima is saying that you're using this ETH to build more ETH, and then the DAO will be in a better position looking at, the treasury and the diversification of that treasury. So I guess speaking to that, yes, you could add liquidity using your ETH, but maybe a better way of doing it is using that ETH to do the yield generating strategies like you guys set out to do, but then using an allocation of the tokens, the KNINE tokens set aside for liquidity and use that to build more liquidity for the DAO. And that moves us into the second question where, if you have more liquidity for a token, I know unlocks is a big concern at the moment, but the more liquidity you have for a token and the more you can buffer against any sell pressure that may come from those unlocks, the better, right? So we often at times see as projects scale and as DAOs grow, the more the liquidity is, the deeper it is, the less price impact on the token when people do decide to sell. So that's kind of the two things that you need to weigh up. And, bonds obviously offer this ideal scenario where you can have the best of both worlds. You can use your treasury, your ETH side of things and actively invest and earn more ETH. But then also, there is tokens, KNINE tokens set aside for liquidity. So use those to build more liquidity and then make sure the token is at a better footing when unlocks do tend to happen and people do take some profits.
Yeah, that was a great answer. So, I'm kind of front loading some of the questions as if I'm in the community and not a DeFi degen by trade. But Shima and I guess share that in common. The other question I think that would be prudent to ask is, are there any case studies or other projects that have gone through with this approach? And can you share any of those with us without shilling them necessarily? And maybe just some of the highlights, takeaways, what you've seen happen in hindsight?
Yeah, 100%. So we've been around bonding for the last 2 years. Like I said, we were at DEX in the past, now completely a bonding platform and helping projects, sustainably raise liquidity. So we've worked with over 120 projects at this point in time. We've worked with, large, small, some of the larger ones are Floki, Orbs, ChainGPT. We work with QuickSwap. So we've worked with a lot of big protocols and small ones, right? So we can cater this to any DAO and their needs and making sure that we help them sustainably build their liquidity. But, just stuff that I take pride in is helping the small guys. So there's been projects, and we can share this with you guys as well. Everything is open sourced, and we have a dashboard that I believe we linked to in the DAO proposal. So please go to the forum and see. There should be a link where you guys can view the dashboard of projects bonding their token. And yeah, through that you can see clearly, that it has been working for a lot of DAOs. I mean, we started working with ChainGPT when they were, I would say, sub 10 mil market cap. Today they're a huge market cap. They have, I think, almost $2.5 million in liquidity across all their decentralized liquidity pools, which wasn't the case when we started working with them. It was a lot smaller, and through bonding, we grow that over time, right? It's not a sprint. It's more raising sustainably and being sustainable about the tokens that you use for bonding.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you for answering the questions and coming to share your proposal with us. Shane, do you have any questions? I know you're always listening and thinking. And
I noticed that there's a comment or two that I've seen in the bottom right and in the Telegram, people just bluntly asking, what is the cost of Apebond's services to the DAO? What are you guys getting out of this, is what they're asking basically.
100%. So we ask a fee as we start to bond. So we have what we say, we call it an initiation and success fee. I do believe that's dropped in the proposal as well. So please go and check it out when people do, read that over. But in essence, the initiation fee we have is a 5% we take up front. That's to set up the bond contracts and, just our general dev work. And then we have a 5% success fee that we take as well. So we do have fees. And the reason for that is, right, this is our only revenue stream. And, we're also a DAO like you guys, providing a lot of the fees that we make back to our DAO members, but then also to sustain the contributors of the Apebond DAO. And yeah, that's, it's a pretty simple, fee structure, but yeah, would love if anybody has questions on it.
Fair enough. I just know that they had asked, so I wanted to highlight it here. That's all I would have had. It's good for me. DeFi Turtle, good for you?
Yeah, great question. And again, those details, everyone, are in the proposal. Apebond put a lot of effort into this one, it looks like to me. So please do us all the favor of at least checking it out, seeing if you have any questions, posting it in the forum. And then, we have until the next roundtable meeting to see if it meets the criteria for the roundtable. But I thought it was a great presentation of what Apebond could do for us.
Sounds good. And like you said, if you need it slower and easier, it's in the forum. You can read it at your own leisure. It's good there.
Yep.
So
100.
Crimson
And
Creator,
then lastly, I just
are you still there? Boba's been cutting it out a little bit.
if I can say one thing.
Go ahead.
I'm here. Can you hear me? Oh, awesome. Sorry, I just want to say one last thing. You guys should be really proud about your DAO. The stuff that Shima was mentioning right now is, not something that a lot of projects think about. So, it's really smart. And I believe if you continue with this line of thought process, it's going to just lead to success, So just want to commend you guys on that and say that, we'll be honored to work with you guys 100%.
Thank you. And I'm sure Shima and everyone involved appreciates that too, man. Crimson, I want to give you an opportunity because I know, like you said, you've had like a couple of weeks worth of updates you've been waiting to get out. What are you thinking about?
Hello. So yeah, pretty much what we're doing in the community is we're working on getting like some contests going, some of that meme culture going on. We definitely want to get like a good meme contest going, and I think Funk and I have been going back and forth a little bit on stuff like that. We're looking at like video content that we can put out and stuff like that, just stuff to get the community engaged. We were talking about some video content that we can have the community submit, but that's not written in stone yet, so I'm not going to say more on that one. But yeah, all in all, like the mods are doing really well now. They've all got a good handle on KNINE and what a DAO is and how to answer questions to everyone that has questions. Our international groups have grown like crazy. I think our Vietnamese group was only started like a week or two ago, and there's 1,300 people in it. So like those things are really taking off. The marketing is doing really well for those as well. So yeah, just a little update on what's going on with those.
It's good. The international group's growing like that. You say you're seeing a lot of members in, you said the Vietnamese group?
Yeah, Vietnamese and Turkish. They're really popping off over there.
Neat. That's something to think about. Maybe on the interactions on X and stuff. I'll be looking for that too. For the moderators and stuff, do you have any updates for the moderators? Have you got anybody new on the team or any changes or VC updates for what you guys have been doing?
Yeah, so two things. So we have a couple new mods in the team. So we have Justin, which I believe is his name for everybody else in Telegram. I might be wrong. And then we have Nick, who is also moderating during the day. Frank has really helped become like a core part of our moderator group. So for voice chats, we're gonna start we were doing them every day for a little bit, but we're gonna switch to more of like a every couple days kind of deal. So starting next week, Mondays and Fridays, voice chats will be hosted by Frank in Telegram. And those will be more of a community led voice chat. You guys can send in topics if you want us to look into topics to discuss and stuff like that. If nobody sends in any, we're gonna choose some. Wednesdays will be hosted by Funk or myself with Deffy Turtle or Buzz popping in or Mr. Lightspeed, whoever's kind of around that night. And they will be at 9 p.m. EST every night, or on those nights. And yeah, they're all gonna kind of have a specific topic. So if you guys wanna send in some ideas, feel free. And we can do some research on them before the voice chats, and it'll be fun.
Cool. So if you guys have got ideas in the Telegram, you need to be tagging her. If you see something throughout the week, if you've got news stories popping up, there's all kinds of ways you can farm content for VCs.
Yeah,
but just keep your eyes. Go ahead.
It doesn't have to be KNINE specific. It can just be like the market in general. So like the halving or anything that's going on, if you want to talk about it, we'll do some research on it and we can just sit and chat about it. So
go ahead, Turtle. I saw you unmuted.
Yeah, I just wanted to give a shout out to Frank. I think he's also in here listening, who's been a volunteer moderator and who's just been absolutely crushing it. So every time someone in the community really steps up, I just want people to know that we notice and we really appreciate the efforts. The other thing I wanted to mention is Crimson has been recording or taking the recorded DAO spaces that we're having, and then transcribing and translating them into 8 different languages, and then sharing those with the international groups each week. We're here for the long term. I guess I want people to see that and know that. And, we're taking the efforts to really build up our presence everywhere over time. And those types of actions, make it a lot easier for the rest of the world to keep up with us crazy folks and what we're doing.
We appreciate the work that Crimson's doing to do that, those translations and stuff. That does go a long way. We get caught up thinking everybody speaks English, but that is not the case. So it's good to translate. Go ahead, Funk.
Hey, yeah, I just also want to say with Turtle's kind of mentioned there to this being a long-term hold, I definitely think in the grand scope of what the K9 finance ecosystem and cryptocurrency, and I know people in cryptocurrency can be really impatient, and don't get me wrong, there's a ton of extremely patient investors as well, but I do think that in the grand scope of things, this is one of the, it's not going to be quite as exciting or as good as when the utility is going to come out in Q3, right? Like, those are the times when it's just going to have those natural catalysts, and things are going to be really, really natural and exciting from a marketing perspective. So it's important in these early phases to really just put our nose to the grindstone. And apologies if I seem too bullish or too excited about this, but I just really am, even now and before unlocks and even past unlocks and leading up to Q3. And just for Shiba Inu as a whole and Shibarium as a whole, I'm just super into this whole ecosystem. And the more I learn about it and the more, I hear from these incredibly intelligent speakers and everyone, and yourself included, Shane, everyone kind of hosting as well, it just gets me more and more bullish about this ecosystem. And I just really want to bring that bullishness to this community and get people excited, because positivity is absolutely contagious and negativity and fear is absolutely contagious too. So for any cryptocurrency that you're in, consider what kind of energy, what kind of message you're sending to other investors with your messages, and keep it positive.
Good reinforcement. I'm sure Crimson would agree with all that too, being a Telegram moderator and stuff, measuring sentiment and managing those groups of people. Good stuff. Normally at this point in time, I would have plugged in for Buzz's Corner. We're at that 15-minute to the hour mark, and I would have plugged him in, but we're not doing Buzz's Corner today. So in the stead for Buzz's Corner, Turtle, I see you unmuted, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I'm not Buzz. He's unfortunately sucked into development world today, but that's kind of where we need him. So every once in a while, he's going to have to miss these things, and I guess we can be more excited that he'll be back next week. Maybe a week without him is a good thing. Anyway, I think the big picture of Shibarium is really coming together. I think we saw some of that with the 12 million raise for Treat over the past week. And I just wanted to direct anyone who's listening to the recording or, trying to think about K9 as being part of your portfolio. Take a look at the pinned messages here in the space. There's a Alpha Transform research report that came out. I know research reports can seem boring, but this one's really concise and not too difficult to read. It really breaks down the potential of what a liquid staking protocol can do for an ecosystem. And it kind of showcases it with Lido and some other big players. And, if you're trying to figure out where is K9 headed, where is Shibarium headed, look at the tea leaves, look at the research report, look at the major investment coming into Shibarium, look at the things that are happening. And, if there's anything that we're missing or not seeing and you're a community member and you're excited about the ecosystem, or you have info or alpha you want to drop, try to get up on these spaces. Hit up Shane, hit up Turtle, hit up anybody on this call, and we can get you up here. But, we're here for Shibarium and seeing, again, we usually have inside info on stuff that we can't disclose because we work closely with the Shib team, but, seeing the success of Treat and the impact that that'll have for Shibarium is very bullish for what we're doing.
Very nice. So that's Turtle's Corner today instead. So I appreciate that. That fills up the corner nicely. You look good in his sweater, by the way. I won't tell him that you stretched it out if you don't.
Yeah. I think it might be a little too stretched. Don't tell him.
All right, those strong shoulders, man, they'll ruin a sweater real quick. Before we head out, I usually give everybody an opportunity to do like a final thoughts before we go. So out of the speakers that were up here, I'll give Turtle a chance to grab a sip of water. I'll rotate back through. Boba, before we go, do you have any final thoughts for everybody that was listening?
Just thank you so much for having us here. And, I think you guys are doing smart things, and, smart things lead to success. So 100% thank you guys for having us.
You bet. Thank you for coming in and giving us the explanation. Remember, everybody, their proposal is on the forum. So if you caught what he was saying, or if you maybe didn't quite catch all of it or anything, you got to read it. Check it out. It's all really well written. There's also some follow-ups from community members and stuff to read as well. Crimson, final thoughts?
No, I just want to remind everyone to keep active and be sure to join the voice chats. We're going to be scheduling them the morning of and discuss like what topic it's going to be. So be sure to keep an eye out for those.
Cool. Sounds good. Everybody keep an eye on the schedule. Try and tune in for the voice chats. And even if you can't be there, you could probably send a topic. They might appreciate that quite a bit. So send them a topic.
Some of them too. If they're going to be good topics, we'll record them.
Cool. Funk, final thoughts?
I kind of gave up my final thoughts a little bit earlier, but I'll just say to the community, keep posting on X, keep spreading the word, keep telling people in investment groups, any kind of small grassroots efforts that you guys can do to help spread awareness of K9 and bring more potential holders in, or just people that want to obviously come into the Telegram, read the blight paper and do the research for themselves. Of course, you never are supposed to recommend anyone invest in anything, but just getting those eyes on the project is a different story. And so anywhere that you can share, we really appreciate it on the K9 Finance team here. So thanks again, guys, for letting me speak here. And thanks, Shane, for hosting.
One thing I can suggest that you invest in is your time into the K9 Finance weekly DAO spaces. We're here same time every week doing these updates with people like Funk and Crimson and Turtle and Shima and other representatives from the community. So DYOR, but you can probably at least spare that hour to come here. Shima, final thoughts? I couldn't agree more. Go ahead, buddy. Turtle, save me. Final thoughts.
Yeah, I think Shima might have gotten rugged or he was running back to his phone, but no big deal. Kind of like Funk was saying, if there's community effort and you have an idea, head over to k9finance.com/join, fill out a form. We check them all the time. If we can collaborate with you on the idea, empower you to see the idea through, we'll do it. In the forum, please be active. There's benefits to being active. I'll just leave it at that. And there are two, actually maybe four proposals by the time you get there. There's 3 now, and there might be 4. There's Treasury, there's guerrilla marketing, and there's the Apebond proposal. And I encourage everybody to just provide feedback, ask questions. That this is in the hands of the community.
Sounds good, man. Get active. The final call to action, as always, from Turtle. You should be on the forum. That's we had a discussion earlier about whether or not that was the best place for conversation. I believe that's the best place to be. So if you're here at the spaces, you should already be at the forum. You know about that, and you're already following all the people that were up here as speakers. So the next time we do a spaces, you won't miss anything. Obviously, you're following the K9 account. We'll set out the reminder and stuff like that. So a very technical spaces today. Lots of big money moves on spaces today. Talking about liquidity, talking about DeFi, putting ETH into Lido and stuff like that. This is the more technical side. We talked to you guys about after the initial launch and stuff, some of those more hype spaces. There would be technical spaces. There are going to be spaces that get into the nitty gritty of stuff. And this wasn't the weeds, so to speak, but you definitely had to put on the shoes. This was not an open-toed sandals kind of conversation. So if you made it through the whole thing from start to finish, that's awesome. If you listen to the recording, that's even cooler. Make sure you left a comment. Let us know how the recording went. And if you want to be a part of the next one, get with us between now and then. Tag me, tag somebody in the chat, and we can get you up in the next spaces. So one more reminder, my name is CryptoPulse. I'm Pulse Digital. I'm just a dude in the DAO spaces spot. I'm not the K9 Finances guy. Nothing that was said today was K9 Finance. It was just me. They let me drive the car. It doesn't mean I built it. I appreciate you guys coming and letting me do this as one of your community members. It's fun getting to host the spaces. And if you want to be here for the next one, you're already following the account. So look for it next time, same place on the K9 Finance weekly DAO spaces. Have a great day, everybody. I appreciate you.